So hepatocytes are the liver cells that secrete bile, and that bile gets out from the liver through the right and left hepatic duct and enters into the gallbladder through the cystic duct. And gallbladder stores that bile. Not only stores, gallbladder takes the water out from that bile and makes the bile highly concentrated. And that concentrated bile remains in the gallbladder. And when you eat food, gallbladder gets signal from your stomach, okay, that food is there, and contracts to eject the bile, and bile enters into the bile duct and goes to the duodenum. Anyway, so bile is yellow-green color fluid, and it is alkaline in nature. And the main component of bile is bile salts. And bile salts help in lipid or fat digestion and absorption. Digestion means breakdown, right? So bile salts help to break the fats, large fat molecules, to small molecules. That is digestion. And absorption is, once the fat is digested, the small fat molecules enter into the blood in the intestine. So that is the absorption. And now, how the bile salts break the large fat molecules. So if these are fat molecules, the bile salts get attached to the surface of the fat molecules like this. So these are the bile salts. They get attached to the surface of the fat and reduces the surface tension. So the surface tension, when gets reduced, the fat, large fat, breaks into small pieces, because surface tension keeps the structure intact. You know, water has surface tension, right? You remember in NP1 I talked about that. The small flies can walk because of surface tension, right? If you put your finger in water and take out, you will see a nice ball of water is formed, right? Because water molecules, because of that surface tension, water molecules try to stay together. Make sense? Now, if you reduce the surface tension, it will split. Make sense? Will break because surface tension is low. So bile salts reduce the surface tension of fat, and that breaks the fat into many tiny pieces. So that is the digestion or breakdown, okay? And this process is called emulsification. The process is called emulsification. You see there. So emulsification is the process by which the bile salts get attached to the surface of the fat and reduces the surface tension that breaks the fat into many small pieces. And that helps in absorption. So now the fats are broken into small pieces, so those fat molecules can easily enter into the blood from the intestine, and that is the absorption. Now bile salts, you see here, after the fat is broken into small pieces, what happens? Bile salts again get attached to the surface of these small fats and make them water soluble. Make them water soluble. Because you know that fats are not water soluble. You all know that, right? Fats are not water soluble. So proteins and carbohydrates, those are water soluble. They can easily enter into the blood, pass through the membrane, right? But fats are not water soluble, so they cannot easily pass through the intestinal wall to enter into the blood. Make sense? So now, what the bile salts do? Bile salts cover the surface of those small tiny fats. Okay, cover the surface. Now, this is fat. It is not water soluble. It cannot pass through the membrane, right, to enter into the blood. Now, the bile salts cover the whole surface, so the fat is now inside, right? And bile salt is water soluble. So now the whole structure becomes water soluble. Makes sense? Can easily penetrate and enter into the blood. So bile salts not only break the fat but also makes the fat water soluble by covering the surface. Make sense? Like you want to pass through some security, and if you can hide inside something and that thing can pass through easily, then you can go to the other side like that. So that is hiding inside the bile salts, and bile salts are water soluble. So that's how the bile salts help in digestion of fat and absorption of fat. Gallbladder is a muscular sac that stores and concentrates the bile that I have already mentioned by absorbing its water and ions, and releases the bile when needed into the cystic duct, and from there bile duct and then duodenum. Large intestine. Large intestine consists of few structures. So what are the parts of your large intestine? First part is the cecum, then ascending colon, transverse colon, descending colon, then sigmoid colon. So this is the first part of large intestine, cecum. Then colon. Colon is the second part, and colon has different segments. This is ascending colon, this is transverse colon, this is descending colon, and this part is sigmoid colon. Okay, so cecum, then colon. Colon has different parts, then rectum, and then anal canal and anus. So this is rectum and anal canal. Okay, and this opening is the anus. So these are the parts of your large intestine. Okay. The membrane that connects the colon to the body wall, that membrane is called mesocolon. It's like mesentery, mesocolon. That is a large membrane that connects the large intestine to, connects the colon to the body wall to keep the colon in right location in the abdominal cavity. If you see the surface of large intestine, you will see thin band of smooth muscle. So smooth muscle fibers form bands, and that bands are attached to the surface of the large intestine, and that is called tinea coli. 3 bands like this, side by side, um, attached longitudinally. Uh, these are smooth muscle fibers bands. And another thing you will see in large intestine is many pocket-like structures. So it's like this. You have seen that in the model, like this. These pouches or pockets are called haustra. Haustrum is singular. If I only indicate one, that is haustrum. If I say haustra, that indicates more than one. So, pocket-like sacs, those are haustra. Here you can see those structures. You see cecum, ascending colon, transverse colon, descending colon, sigmoid colon, rectum, anal canal, and you see the yellow structure, mesocolon, right? That is the membrane. Lot of fat gets attached to the mesocolon, that membrane, and you see that white structure. Those are 3 longitudinal bands formed by smooth muscle called tinea coli that I have mentioned. And another thing you see that pockets or pouches, those are haustra, and tiny fat structures, yellow color you see here, are attached to the tinea coli. Those are called epiploic appendages. So those tiny fat structures are hanging or attached to the tinea coli, that white band. Those are called epiploic appendages. Now, the large intestine has 2 flexures or angles. Right colic flexure, which is also called hepatic flexure because the liver is located there, just above that. So it is in the liver side, right side, liver is here. So that's the right colic flexure or hepatic flexure. Left colic flexure is also called splenic flexure because spleen is there, very close to that angle. Spleen is actually like kind of touching that angle. That's why it is splenic flexure. Now, you need to know the function of the large intestine. Large intestine is mainly responsible for the absorption of water and electrolytes. Water and electrolytes. So stomach is for storage and digestion, small intestine for digestion and absorption of nutrients, and large intestine is not really responsible for digestion because breakdown of food and absorption of nutrients is almost done. So in large intestine, no more digestion, only large amount of water reabsorption and electrolyte reabsorption occurs in the large intestine. And infection in large intestine causes diarrhea. Have you heard that term, diarrhea? So diarrhea is actually due to infection in the lower part of the intestine, that means in the large intestine. And in diarrhea, what happens? A lot of water, right, gets out from the body. Why? Because large intestine is responsible for water absorption, right? So if inflammation occurs in the wall of large intestine, water absorption does not occur. Make sense? So large intestine cannot absorb water, so that water gets out. Now, if your large intestine works more than normal, that means if it absorbs more water than normal, then what will happen? Constipation. Make sense? So constipation is the hardening of the stool. because your large intestine is working more than normal, taking more water out from the fecal materials, right? So it gets harder. If it does not work, if it does not absorb the water, then diarrhea. So just opposite. More work, less work. Okay. Constipation and diarrhea. So here you see, you already know that greater momentum covers everything, like the sheet that I mentioned in last class, and you said blanket. I like that, right? Blanket that's traps down, and here they have just reflected the greater momentum, moved it up, so you can see underneath. Okay. The part of mesocolon that is attached to the sigmoid colon here, that membrane, that is called sigmoid mesocolon. The transverse mesocolon, sigmoid mesocolon. And here you have mesentery, another membrane that also attaches the large intestine to the body wall. So it's the transverse mesocolon, sigmoid mesocolon, and also mesentery is there. Okay, so those are the three membranes basically holding the large intestine in the right place, attaching the large intestine to the body wall. And rectum. Inside the rectum, there are three valves that stop feces from being passed with gas. So if you see the rectum, when you see the model, you see kind of like this. Like this. There are three valves. Okay. Anal canal is the last part of the large intestine, and there are two sphincters in the anal canal. So three valves in rectum and two sphincters in the anal canal. Internal anal sphincter and external anal sphincter. This is important to know that internal anal sphincter is formed by smooth muscle, involuntary. You know that smooth muscle is involuntary. External anal sphincter is formed by skeletal muscle. That means it is voluntary. So you can relax or constrict the external anal sphincter because it is skeletal and voluntary. So now you see here, this is the anal canal here, right? So there are two sphincters. One is here, that's the internal anal sphincter, and another is here, that is external anal sphincter. This is smooth, involuntary. Involuntary, you cannot control that. This is skeletal, that means voluntary. You can control it. So now, when you decide to do defecation, what you do first, you see, you relax this external anal sphincter voluntarily. You can do that. So you relax this external sphincter. Then, when you relax this, a signal goes to your spinal cord, central nervous system, and then a spinal cord sends a signal to internal anal sphincter and opens it, because you cannot open the internal, it is involuntary. It must be opened by the central nervous system. So that's why when you voluntarily open this, relax this, this is open now, then signal will go to your spinal cord, then the spinal cord will send signal back to the internal and relax it. So now both are relaxed, so the feces gets out easily. Okay, so that's how the reflex. This is called defecation reflex. Signal is going to CNS and coming back. Okay. Pancreas. Pancreas is a mixed type gland in your body. Why it is called a mixed type gland? Because it has both exocrine and endocrine parts. That's why it is called a mixed gland. The endocrine part of pancreas. First, let's see the shape of pancreas. It is like this. It has a head part. This is the head of pancreas. This is the body. And this is the tail. So, pancreas has three parts. Now, the head part is surrounded by the duodenum. You know that duodenum is the first part of the small intestine and which is like a C-shaped structure. So this is duodenum, like a C. Okay, C-shaped part of the small intestine, first part, and inside that C-shaped curve, the head of pancreas is located. So head of pancreas is nicely fits in that C-shaped curve. And the tail part is attached to the spleen. So this is the spleen. And inside the pancreas there are ducts, tubes. So this is the tube or duct for the main pancreatic duct. Main pancreatic duct. Okay. And from the main pancreatic duct, a branch arises like this. And this is called accessory pancreatic duct. Accessory pancreatic duct. And the ducts receive the pancreatic juice from the pancreas. So you know that pancreas produces pancreatic juice, and that pancreatic juice is secreted inside the duct, and then the duct takes the pancreatic juice to the duodenum. Now you already know in last class, you must remember I told you this is the main pancreatic duct, and from above the bile duct comes like this. So this is the bile duct, also called common bile duct, and these two join here, the main pancreatic duct and bile duct. Okay. And when they join together, that area is expanded like this, wider. This is called hepatopancreatic ampulla. Ampulla is the wider part. It's like a bowl. So this wider round part is called hepatopancreatic ampulla. Okay. And then the hepatopancreatic ampulla drains the fluid into the duodenum, and this opening is called major duodenal papilla. major duodenal papilla. Okay, that opening. But this bulb, or the wider expanded part where these two ducts join, bile duct and main pancreatic duct, that is called the ampulla. Okay, and then papilla. So you see here the pancreatic juice from the main pancreatic duct and bile from the bile duct enter here. So the intestine duodenum gets both the bile and the pancreatic juice. Now accessory pancreatic duct, you see here, this one, the branch, that also enters into the duodenum. And this opening is called minor duodenal papilla. Minor duodenal papilla. So there are two papilla, major and minor. We don't know why the accessory pancreatic duct is needed. Anyway, so two openings, major and minor. Now, pancreas has both endocrine and exocrine parts. Exocrine part is called pancreatic acini. Okay, and that part secretes pancreatic juice into the duct, because we know exocrine glands have ducts, endocrine gland does not have duct. So the exocrine part secretes pancreatic juice into the duct, and this part secretes pancreatic juice. Pancreatic juice, okay, from the exocrine part. Now endocrine part is ductless, no duct is there, you know that. Endocrine part is very important too, because endocrine part produces two very important hormones. First, the name of endocrine part is pancreatic islets. Pancreatic islets, also called islets of Langerhans. Some places you will see called islets of Langerhans. Easy will be pancreatic islets. And this part, I said, produces two very important hormones. What are those? Insulin and glucagon. Okay, so insulin and glucagon are two hormones produced by the endocrine part or pancreatic islets. Insulin does what? You all know. Insulin does what? Blood sugar lowers or increases?
Well, it lowers the sugar, but it's supposed to.
What do you think? Insulin does what? All of you know that. Lowers the blood sugar. That's what diabetic patient takes what? Insulin, right? To increase the blood sugar or decrease? That's a very simple question. Why diabetic patient takes, if it increases the sugar, then the patient will be in big trouble, right? So you all know that, right? Insulin lowers the blood sugar. Glucagon does just opposite. That means what? Increases the blood sugar. Okay? So by the action of these two, your blood sugar is maintained. Very important, right? Your blood sugar is regulated by the action of these two. If you take too much sugar, which one will be secreted more? Insulin, right? If you are starving, which one should be released? Glucagon to make the sugar up. Make sense? So these two are always controlling the or maintaining the blood sugar. So very important. Now, pancreatic juice is very important. Why? Because pancreatic juice contains digestive enzymes. Amylase, pancreatic lipase, nucleases, and proteases. So those are the components of or enzymes present in the pancreatic juice. Amylase for starch digestion or carbohydrate digestion, lipases for lipid digestion or fat digestion, proteases for protein digestion, nucleases for nucleotide digestion. So those organic food compounds are digested by these enzymes. So you see, pancreatic juice contains all those 4 types of enzymes, right? Those are needed for proteins, carbohydrates, fats, and nucleotide digestion. So very important. It has everything. So pancreatic juice is very important for digestion of food, proteins, carbohydrates, fats, and nucleotides. Okay, so that's about the pancreas, and yeah.